Welcome to another edition of the Sustainable Scoop. I'm here with Eric Goplerud. He is the founder of the Faith Alliance for Climate Solutions in our region. Welcome, Eric.
Well, thank you.
Eric, can you tell us a little bit about the mission and how climate justice works within your organization?
Sure. The Faith Alliance for Climate Solutions was born out of a church basement about 7 years ago of a small group of people who said, well, what can we do about this huge problem of global warming? From that, we've grown to now over 75 congregations, 2,300 people in Northern Virginia, and another 40 congregations over in Montgomery County that are working together locally for coming together for solutions to climate change.
And now they do this within their faith community, whether it's a synagogue, a mosque, or a church. They get together. This is their local community,
Right.
But they have conversations that have a global impact. How do you bridge that faith and climate change gap? Is there one?
There is very much so. I have a minister friend who said the most difficult thing for social justice in the faith communities is getting people out of their pews and out in front of their legislators. What we do is to help people who feel very deeply about care for creation and care for and stewardship of the earth to live their values by action, and action that actually makes a difference. For example, what we've done, mostly focusing on Fairfax County, but also regionally, is that we've helped to facilitate the largest power purchase agreement for solar panels in the state. Fairfax County just signed contracts for 113 installations on government buildings, 87 of which will be schools. That was done through the advocacy of people of faith supporting high school kids who got in front of their school board and talked about how this was important for their lives, for their education. It is really what we do is help people get and live their values.
And what's wonderful about a faith community is that it's multi-generational. So you talked about the work of the young people and maybe the leaders in the community. I want to touch on how you and I met. You were identified as a leader in energy in this region for the work that you're doing. And so part of what you're doing is creating these coalitions and these partnerships so that people can take what you're doing and then do it in their own communities. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, what we have done is organize advocacy teams that are in each one of our supervisory districts, made up of people whose congregations or faith community are in that district. And we go to speak to a county supervisor, school board member, and we go there as a member of the Catholic parish that's in their district, the Episcopalian church, the mosque, or the synagogue. We're not there as Republicans or Democrats, as tree huggers or libertarians. We're there because we're impelled by our deep caring for one another and caring for the earth. It's a whole different conversation that we're able to have. Now, it's important that we continue to get out in front and talk to our elected officials. It isn't something that is just going to happen because, well, we're concerned about the environment. It's important that there be a constituency that shows up at the budget hearings, that shows up at the school board meetings, and that shows up and shows that there are people who really care about this issue, and they care about it next year, and they care about it the year after. So they might as well deal with us now because we're going to come back.
That's right, and you have some priorities. Tell me what your priorities are.
Well, our priorities, in some ways we look at Arlington for leadership, in that what we're trying to press Fairfax County is to commit to net zero greenhouse gases by 2050, and for county operations and for school operations, net zero by 2030.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It's a big, big ask, but it is achievable because we can do big things as long as we have the will and we have the mobilization. And we have both.
And certainly those investments will pay off, because climate change is going to have a negative effect on people, not just on the coastlines, but look at Australia, look at the issues that they're having in Puerto Rico. There's issues around the world that are directly related to climate change. And certainly even in our own area, we've had stormwater issues. The temperature, I think the forsythia is blooming right now, and we're in January. People get more involved. How do they reach out to you and engage and become activists for the Alliance?
Well, one of the most important things is that they start talking about it. The second thing is they join. There are many organizations that we work with, but the Faith Alliance for Climate Solutions is a broad coalition. If they want to have more information about us, go to www.faithforclimate.org, www.faithforclimate.org.
Got it. And then are there a few partners you want to send a shout out to?
Certainly. Certainly we work with Eco Action Arlington, with 350 Fairfax, 350, the number of the 350 organizations, the Sierra Club, the Citizens Climate Lobby, one of the most effective citizens advocacy organizations in the whole environmental space. There are many, many organizations. What we find most effective is working with others. There are so many places, and this is perhaps one of the things we learned by being interfaith, is that if we focus on how we are different, we will never have a voice. If we focus on the 80% or 90% that we agree, we can be powerful.
And we certainly have the earth in common. So again, your website?
www.faithforclimate.org.
Thank you so much for your work, Eric. Thank all your volunteers. I look forward to hearing more about your successes.
Well, thank you.
Come
I
back
look
and
forward
see.
to talking with you more.
Thank you. And I want to thank all of you for watching this edition of the Sustainable Scoop. I'm Miriam Gennari. Back to the news desk.